right, where are we?
Number 115.
115.
115 says, when did the women, or woman, depending on which one you read, arrive at the sepulchre, at the tomb? So this is Christ dead. He's been buried for 3 days, and the women are approaching. They are wanting to find someone to roll the giant stone away. They come upon it. Someone comes upon it. People come upon it and find that the rock, the boulder, has already been rolled away because they wanted to anoint the body with oil. And lo and behold, they find that it seems like Christ is risen. But who did it? When did it? How many of them did it? That's the big question.
Yeah. So what's the fallacy here? What's the problem here?
So this is failure to read the text carefully. And I think this is one we see a lot when we look at not quite contradictions, but questions that people have about when things are happening, because this one tends to pop up a lot. Also, then when Mary gets to the apostles, it seems like the apostles arrive at a different time too. So luckily, we're sticking with the women in this one. Yeah. So we need to read the text carefully, as we usually should.
Right. And so Lyle points out that all the Gospels report that this happened. The women arrived after the Sabbath, early in the morning on Resurrection Sunday. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's when it happened. Right. It happened after the Sabbath on Resurrection Sunday. So he suggests that maybe, or presumably, the critic is concerned about whether the women arrived before or after sunrise. Right? So maybe he suggests that's what's going on. So you have those passages pulled up there, maybe we can take a look and see what the issue is.
John 21 is, now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early, while it was still dark, and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. So there it just mentions Mary Magdalene. Matthew 28:1 says, now after the Sabbath, towards the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. Mark 16:1-2 is the final one, and that is, when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they might go and anoint him. And very early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. So is it Mary Magdalene? Is it Mary and the other Mary? Is it Mary, Salome, and the spices?
And is it before the sunrise? Is it after sunrise?
Yeah.
Is it, so it looks like here what happened is there's no doubt, he says, that the women began their journey to the tomb while it was still relatively dark, right?
Right.
And but with it beginning to dawn, says Matthew 28 and Luke 4. So the paradox presumably consists in when they arrived. Excuse me. John 1 suggests that the arrival was before sunrise. The sky is still being somewhat dark, right? And Mark 16 indicates that it was after, or at least at sunrise, right? Matthew and Luke do not give the exact timing, right? Here's the issue. Notice that Mark 16:2 indicates that they, that is Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of Jesus, perhaps others, arrived at the tomb at or after sunrise, whereas John 21 states only that Mary Magdalene came early to the tomb while it was still dark. So what's going on with that?
Yeah. So either Mary started out with them or met up with them at the tomb later, and she was there first to try and find someone to roll the boulder away. So it's not, I don't know if we know that she knows that the guards are guarding the tomb. It doesn't seem like when the Jews asked Pilate to put them on guard that the women were about, that they knew. They might have known it after they had buried him, but she might have gone early to find a few people to help roll that away. And she might, probably being younger, is able to go ahead or start from a different position.
And so that's the solution that Lyle gives us, right? He says there's no contradiction between one woman arriving before sunrise, Mary Magdalene, while the rest of her group arrived at or after sunrise. So we could have different arrivals, and that seems to be what's being described here, right?
Yeah.
Mary Magdalene clearly was there it says before sunrise. Okay, fine. And the others were there at or around sunrise. So no contradiction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.